Today is Tuesday, and you know what that means. We're going to have a special guest. In fact, it's you. Welcome once again to Tulgywood TV. While you're here, please remember to like and subscribe. Everybody neat and pretty? Then on with the show. That's right. Today we're going to celebrate Walt Disney's Mickey Mouse Club, which in just a few days will be celebrating its 65th anniversary because it debuted on October 3rd, 1955 on the ABC network and was on 5 days a week, an hour long. Even though Mickey Mouse introduced each episode, the Mickey Mouse Club was primarily a live-action show starring the Mouseketeers. They all became instantly popular, especially Annette, who really became an overnight star. You might recall from my earlier video about the books starring Annette that she was the last Mouseketeer cast and was personally chosen by Walt Disney himself. Not surprisingly, there was quite a bit of merchandise that was produced in association with the show. One of the most fun is this Viewmaster packet, and this had originally been issued with the show's debut in 1955. This that I'm holding in my hand was reissued in 1975 when the show was syndicated for the second time. The first time had been in the early 1960s. There were a couple of Mickey Mouse Club Viewmaster sets. This one is definitely very fun because Mickey Mouse himself makes an appearance and interacts with the Mouseketeers. And it's also always fun to see them in color because the Mickey Mouse Club was filmed in black and white. But this is full color and, as it says, stereo pictures. It's great fun to see Head Mouseketeer Jimmy Dodd, Annette, of course, and some of the other Mouseketeers, including my favorite, Lonnie. Now, the Mickey Mouse Club was really a variety show, and the Mouseketeers sang and danced and put on skits, did all kinds of musical numbers, and most of the songs used were original for the show. So when you think about it, 5 days a week, an hour long, that is a lot of music and a lot of songs that were composed. So of course, there were quite a few recordings released with quite a number of the songs from the shows. This is one of the 45 singles, which actually has 6 songs on it. It's quite a lot. It's called Mousekedances, 6 Dances and How to Do Them. And these Mouseketeers, dressed as cats, not mice for once, are illustrating the song The Pussycat Polka, which is one of the most famous songs from the show. And really, this is one of the most famous images, at least in my mind, because it's so distinctive. That song was written by Head Mouseketeer Jimmy Dodd, who, in addition to being a performer and a very affable host, was also a composer. This song is also notable because Jimmy performed it with his wife Ruth, as he did with a couple of the songs. This LP album was one of a couple that was issued in 1975 with that second syndication of the show. And this is really fun because it pulls together a lot of the songs onto this one album. So we have Mickey Mouse Club, Mousekedances, and other Mouseketeer favorites, featuring 21 hit Mouseketoons. Mouseketeers, Mouseketoons, Mousekedances, Mouse cartoons. It's all the Mickey Mouse Club. On the back, we have some great color photos again. And as it says down here, special songs by Annette. They're really emphasizing her because she, of course, was the big breakout star. And also songs from the exciting Triple R Ranch Adventures of Spin and Marty, because they were very, very important and popular elements of the show. Of course, one song that's featured on here is the Mickey Mouse Club March, called by different titles, but usually Mickey Mouse March is what it's best known as. I think that's its official title. And again, that was composed by Jimmy Dodd. One of the most popular Disney songs. It's still performed all the time at all the Disney parks and on TV specials and other venues as well. Now, as I mentioned, Spin and Marty were a big part of the show's popularity. They were one of many serials that were produced over the years, and definitely the most popular. Here they are on the cover of Walt Disney's Mickey Mouse Club magazine. The only problem is that on my copy, which is kind of beat up, it's definitely not in mint condition. So we'll just set that there for now. And I'll replace it with this beautifully pristine cover of Spin, Marty, and of course Annette. You might recall me showing this again in the Annette video that I did some time ago. There were a good number of issues of this magazine that were published, but I'm not going to focus on this today. We'll look at this magazine in another video soon. Moving on with Spin and Marty, they also were in their own comic book. There were several issues of this comic book that were published, and it's fun because, again, color, and they had special photography for the covers. These were not photos from the serials that you will actually see on the Mickey Mouse Club. They were brand new just for the comic book, so that's fun too. And on the back, we have this great photo of the two stars, Tim Considine, David Stollery, and their autographs. So very cool for Mouseketeers watching at home and wanting to have more adventures of Spin and Marty. And that does bring up the point that these were all new adventures created especially for comic books. So this it says, baffled by the mystery of Lonesome Flats. So sure enough, inside we have that adventure. And it's kind of fun because unlike the serials on the actual show, in the comic books, Spin and Marty were almost like the Hardy Boys. They were solving mysteries and catching crooks and so forth, and really beautifully done art, and really expanded on the adventures that were seen on the show. Here's another issue of their comic book. This one was a republished issue that was done in the 70s, again, with the second syndicated edition of the show. This time it was published as part of the anthology series that Gold Key was putting out called Walt Disney Showcase. Something different in every issue. So Spin and Marty, definitely a popular duo for this comic book. This time we have The Treasure of Old Fort Resolute. And again, great art, great writing and storytelling. Really so much fun to read. I highly recommend these comics. They're extremely well done. Now here we have another Spin and Marty comic book with kind of a difference because this time it's Spin and Marty and Annette. With her popularity, it's no surprise she was added to the comic book, and she was also added to the serial on the Mickey Mouse Club TV show. In the first season of the Mickey Mouse Club, given its popularity, of course, there were continuing adventures in the following seasons. So we had the further adventures of Spin and Marty and the new adventures of Spin and Marty. And Annette was a big part of those two new editions of the Spin and Marty serials as well. This is not in very good shape, definitely not mint again, but it gives us a chance to look at the cover more closely. And this adventure is called The Pirates of Shell Island. And we have this very cool illustration inside, the inside front cover of Shell Island, a map. So it really helps us get into the adventure. And then again, if we look at the comic, extremely well illustrated and beautifully written. Lots of fun and excitement. Now, as has been mentioned, and there's really no need to even mention it, Annette was by far the biggest star of the show. The other kids were popular, but Annette was definitely the most popular of the Mouseketeers. The most popular boy on the show was not even a Mouseketeer. It was Tim Considine, who made such a big splash as Spin that he very quickly became the most popular male star on the Mickey Mouse Club and he was used in the serials as much as possible. Undoubtedly, that's one reason that the Mickey Mouse Club presented an adaptation of the famous series of books known as the Hardy Boys. Here they are in comic book form, and again, in an adaptation of The Tower Treasure, which was the first Hardy Boys serial presented in the second season of the Mickey Mouse Club. And again, we have Tim Considine and Tommy Kirk in his first role for Disney, and of course he became a big Disney star. He appeared in so many Disney productions such as Swiss Family Robinson, Old Yeller, The Shaggy Dog, many more. Again, extremely well illustrated, well written, a great adaptation of that serial from the show. On the back, this great illustration explaining what doubloons are, something you always hear about, but you're never really sure what they are, and that's explained both in the show and here in the comic book. And the Hardy Boys were so popular that they were presented again on the show on the third season of the Mickey Mouse Club. But more importantly for our look at merchandise, they too appeared in more comic books in all new adventures, such as here, The Mystery of the Caves. And just like with Spin and Marty, special photography for these new comic books. Really well done. And just great fun. And really collectible. Again, it comes as no surprise that there were other publications. And I think one of the most rare of the coloring books is this Hardy Boys coloring book. Here it is. This is an adaptation, again, of The Tower Treasure. And this great color photograph that's not easy to come by, showing Frank and Joe, Tim as Frank and Tommy as Joe. They're looking at the book that they get from the library that explains all about the pirate treasure. And it's just the greatest photograph and makes this coloring book really fun. And inside it has great illustrations. You can color, and somebody has. Whoever owned this coloring book, as is usually the case. This is great. Some were left uncolored, and some were definitely colored. Somebody really had fun with this, didn't they? But to me, that makes it more fun than if it was all pristine and uncolored. So one thing I'd like to point out is Tim's shirt, and it's really a fun bit of costuming. It's definitely of the era, definitely vintage. You can see it here again. It's very distinctive. But what's really fun about this distinctive shirt is that here's Tim wearing it in the first series of Hardy Boys Mysteries from the second season of the Mickey Mouse Club. The following year, when both boys had grown a bit, Tommy is the one wearing that shirt. So it was a hand-me-down, just as if they were real brothers. So I thought that was a great touch. So I hope you've enjoyed this look at a few artifacts from the Mickey Mouse Club as we celebrate its 65th anniversary this year. And we'll be looking at the Mickey Mouse Club in another video soon. Why? Because we like you.